Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland, this is for you.
What's going on, Cavs fans? Welcome to another edition of the Block, the Shot, the Stop, a Cleveland Cavaliers podcast brought to you by the people at the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm Skylar Webker, and I'm joined with Kevin Lynch to talk about the absolute shellacking that the Cavs put onto the Dallas Mavericks, finishing 101-144. Kevin, how you feeling after that one?
Feeling good for several reasons. Obviously, the Cavs played great. They set a franchise record as far as most points scored in a half with 91 in that first half. We'll get into that more. I felt good because I meant to give it out on socials, but I did not. I thought the bet of the year so far was Cavs to be leading at the end of every quarter today was only minus 130. Despite, obviously lots of drama around the Dallas Mavericks that we will get into as well. And it feels good because, and we talked about this the last couple episodes. I know while you were traveling, Tim and I did the last couple episodes, but like the Cavs starting to seem like they're getting back to how they were the first 2.5 months of the season before kind of a rough 3 weeks or so stretch where they actually were like, I think 4-5 total record. But, so yeah. And then today makes you feel great because it's a game they should definitely win. They're better than Dallas anyway. And then there's a lot of circumstances around today's game. And they just came out and took care of business like you wouldn't believe. 50 points in the first quarter, a disappointing 41 in the second quarter. And they had as much as a 38-point lead in the first half.
Yeah, you mentioned the record kind of 91 points and a half, which is bananas. I mean, defense was definitely turned off on this.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of other things. A franchise first quarter, putting up 50 in the first quarter. Franchise halves, 91 at the half. Franchise record of three-pointers hit in a game, 21, 26, mm-hmm. 26. And then Sam Merrill with career high three-point shots tonight of 9. So just kind of a career game all around. I think Reggie had a lot to do with it. So I'm ready to put Reggie's kind of dog jersey up in the rafters.
Yeah, no, I don't know where you start. We can start with Sam Merrill, like career game for him. And some of his 9 threes came in the second half of the game was decided. But like, regardless of that, I think maybe it's kind of frustrating for Cavs fans because I think everyone would agree that Sam Merrill is a very good shooter that is having a below average shooting season. And so I think it's kind of frustrating. And Sam is frankly the type of player that to get consistent minutes, he needs to make shots because as much as he contributes where he can in other ways, like that's his calling card is his 3-point shot. So regardless, again, when a guy's in a slump, and especially, been having like a rough season and we're more than halfway through the season, he hits 9 of 13 threes. I don't care if it comes in a 1-point game or 40-point blowouts. It's just good to see and something you hope will kind of carry on into the next game.
Yeah, I hope it does. I think he's getting a lot of opportunities right now just with injuries to Isaac Okoro and Dean Wade. We saw Karras back tonight, which is great to see. So he's definitely getting a lot of extended minutes, which is to be expected, but also the way that Kenny Atkinson plays this team, he still was getting kind of regularly minutes, but not 23 minutes a game 23 minutes a game.
Yeah. For sure. Like with, there's much more opportunity to get playing time on the wing than there usually is on this team. That's actually their greatest position of depth is kind of the 2 and 3 spots. Mm-hmm. It just so happens it hasn't been the last 2 to 3 weeks with 3 of the main guys in the rotation. Okoro, Dean Wade, and as you said, LeVert just came back today after I believe a 6-game absence, 5-6 game absence. And so, the NBA, like you keep plugging away, opportunities will come, and you just got to try and take advantage of them when you do. A lot of that opportunity with those guys out was being taken by like Ty Jerome and a little bit Georges Niang also. Yeah. But then Sam Merrill's had a few really good moments and had obviously a career game today.
Yeah, like I said, I think defense was turned off on Dallas because they couldn't stop anything.
Yeah. Well, they look like a team that had their heart ripped from them at like midnight last night.
True. That's true. But boy, before we get there, we can finish wrapping up the Cavs.
Yeah.
One thing I was curious of, and maybe it's because I don't know if the Charge played earlier today, but we didn't see Luke Travers, we didn't see Amani Bates, we didn't see Craig Porter. I was kind of curious that those guys didn't get some playing time in this very decisive Tristan Thompson got 17 minutes win.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't think about the Charge. That's a great point. Because I was thinking the same thing. All the guys you mentioned, JT Thor, Amani Bates, those guys. I'm like, why aren't they throwing those guys in for the last 6 minutes or so of this one? And you could be onto something that the Charge had a game today. Looking at it right now, they did not have a game today. They do have a game tomorrow, but I wonder if those guys just kind of, those 2A guys just kind of transitioned back to the Charge and weren't dressed for today. Poor Tristan Thompson played 17 straight minutes in a basketball game in 2025. So was not expecting that, but luckily it's always nice when you can pull your starters with 5 minutes to go in the third quarter and then just kind of ride it out from there.
Yeah, apparently Sydney says that they did play yesterday. They're just broken up into 2 comments.
I see. And he's right. They actually have a double header against Rip City. They had they had a game yesterday and a game tomorrow. So my guess is he's right, and they're with them for that 2-game stretch.
Yeah. So outside of kind of these 2A guys that we thought we were going to get playing time, I mean, I'm surprised that they didn't get I'm surprised these guys came back out and after the half to play. But we can go on to Ty Jerome. Another good game from him.
Yep.
5 assists, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, being sticky with the hands, 12 points. It's so good to see Ty Jerome just playing well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm kind of, you could have thrown a dart at the box score because there wasn't a guy that didn't have a good game today in one way or the other. I mean, they shot 57% from the floor, 58 from 3. And that's after kind of frankly cooling off and a little bit in the second half. They shot in the first half. I actually had it up here. They shot 66% from the field and then held Dallas to 33% from the field. So like I said, you can throw a dart at the box score and figure out somebody you want to talk about in the positive light today. Ty he was very solid today, and he's been fantastic for the last handful of games now as the Cavs have come out of this funk. He's been a real your term for him, spark plug, but really he I'll use the term like chameleon because he gives the Cavs what they need that night. If they need him to play 12, 15 minutes, just because they have a full squad and he just needs to come in and play 6-7 minutes a half to relieve Mitchell and Garland and run some of the offense then and cover some of the playmaking absence when those guys are on the bench. He does it. And then on several nights when they've been shorthanded, they've needed him to play 30 minutes a night and score, 20 points and have 5 assists. And he's done that several times. So I think that's my term for him is he knows what the Cavs need from him that night. And that's what he does.
Yeah. I think when we were talking to Spencer Davies, I think a lot of that has to do with how much confidence that Kenny Atkinson instills in these guys. These guys don't seem to ever be upset by not getting minutes, not getting shot opportunities, not getting chances because, well, Kenny has the deepest rotation and trusts this rotation as much as he does. But I think part of, we're seeing kind of these career highs from all these guys is because of the confidence that Kenny has in his game plan and he's instilled in all these guys. And really, I would say makes these guys feel valuable. I don't think there's a single guy on this roster that doesn't feel valuable.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the two reasons are like the selflessness that all of these guys are showing, especially the stars, to kind of let whoever has it going, get it going and keep it going. And but then also you're 100% right about the confidence thing. Tim and I just talked about that on one of the podcasts last week regarding Jalen Tyson, because you saw Jalen obviously has a lot of raw ability. Everybody sees it and he could be a contributor, but like kind of the thought was he was a little bit of a fish out of water right now. Just he's raw enough that he was having a hard time finding the right ways to contribute. Well, now this last, few weeks when he's been getting the opportunity, he's doing the things he does really well and frankly not doing or not being concerned with the things he doesn't do as well. And I said, like, he deserves the bulk of that credit, but then it is Kenny and the coaching staff that are like, hey, like, we know there's all kinds of things you're going to be able to do on a basketball court, or you could do, but what we need from you is to do this, like bring crazy energy, lockdown defense, help on the boards, get on the floor for loose balls, and just focus on that stuff and don't worry about anything else. And now he's even, you can tell, like, he's so much more confident even shooting the ball than he was early in the year and stuff. And not to like switch from Ty to Jalen Tyson, but like, I think the story is kind of the same between those players and a lot of others on the team.
Yeah. And I think a lot of, myself included, were kind of using Jalen Tyson as trade bait to kind of improve his team. Now, like, I don't really know if I would want to trade Jalen Tyson just because of, obviously I have a soft spot for the guys that give max effort, and everything like that. But, if you're getting these glimpses here in his rookie year and limited playing time, think about when he gets regular minutes and then you have him under contract for his rookie contract for a while. I mean, that value kind of adds up. And I'm sure other teams are seeing that and asking about that also. But I mean, at this point, like I said, it doesn't feel like there's anybody on this team that doesn't have a value.
I agree. And I kind of put Jalen in the same bucket as Craig Porter Jr. in the sense that they're signed for at least 2 more seasons at such a low number. And you see signs of them being able to be in the regular rotation. Who knows, how far that'll go into a quality starter or quality rotation guy, whatever. But like, definitely someone who can, be in the rotation for a winning team. They're just both a little bit raw right now, especially Jalen. And do you give up on that? Because as I know we've referenced the podcast that you and I did with Luca from Real Cavs Fans quite a bit, but like, just to reiterate, one of the most important things in the league is finding guys on cheap contracts signed over several years that can contribute for your team. That's just kind of the limitations of the salary cap have made those guys so much more valuable than they used to be.
Yeah. And it's so funny. I was talking with Luca during the game on X, and he put out there, like, it's so great to see a team that made this big trade to shore up defense not play any defense. And obviously it's sarcasm.
Sure.
But the irony of the situation is quite entertaining because the Mavs were out 7 guys tonight. So
yeah,
they were pretty thin.
Yeah, they were very thin. The team they put out there tonight is, for the most part, not the team, especially the big guys. I'm a very big NBA fan, and I had never heard of either of the guys that played center tonight.
I said the one guy signed 2 days ago to a contract.
Tyler Kelly and Brandon Williams. I apologize. There are bigger NBA fans than me, but like I'm pretty big, and I honestly wasn't aware of either of those guys. And they have to go up against, Evan Mobley and Jared Allen on short notice. So not exactly set up for success.
No. And, a lot of it is to the situation that we've kind of been dancing around. So I guess we can get into it. As everybody has seen, the Dallas Mavericks have traded away Luka Doncic for, what did they get back? Anthony Davis. That was kind of the big names. They also got Max Christie and who was the last guy? I should have had this pulled up.
It was just the first round pick in 29.
Okay.
It was those two guys and then the one first round pick.
Yeah, and then Utah was in there somehow.
Yeah, they got Hood Schifino, who's first round pick 2 or 3 years ago. That's never really found playing time out of Indiana, I believe. Utah ends up with them and then a couple second round picks to kind of make the money work. But the headliners are, Anthony Davis is now a Maverick and Luka Doncic is a Laker. I'm still kind of in disbelief saying that.
It feels weird. So, I like it. Obviously, I like it from LA side. LA is getting what they want as a 25-year-old next franchise player. I think they see the horizon setting on LeBron. They thought that AD was going to be that next franchise player, but I don't know. When he's already 31 years old, so they're really taking a swing for Luka.
Yeah.
What do you? I guess what are your takes on what the Lakers look like now with Luka and LeBron?
Yeah. So let me say a little bit about the trade and then like I'll happily talk about the Lakers as well. The trade is irresponsible business by the Mavericks, to put one of the 2 or 3 best trade assets in the league on the block, but only offer them to one team and take the first deal that they offer is completely irresponsible. Like no matter what business you're in, you have to, if you're going to make that move, I'm okay with, we need to trade Luka because we just want a different kind of team or different future. You have to quietly advertise that to 10, 12 teams and have them all bring their best bids and then do which one's best for you.
Yeah. You auction them out.
Yeah. Makes no sense. I love AD as a player. But him a little bit injury concern, a little bit just the fact that he is a top, 5 center and top 15-ish player. Luka at his best is the second best player in the NBA and at his worst 4th or 5th best. And he's so young. Luka has had the best 7 years to a career, even being injured this year. He's had the best 7 years career he had the best 7 years by anyone other than LeBron the last 30 years in the NBA.
I'd agree with that.
That's, the stats back it up. It's like LeBron is the only one that has a little bit more team success and a little bit more, accumulation of stats. So just terrible business by the Mavs. But the Lakers, how their team fits now is their team doesn't fit now. They made this move because we have an opportunity to get Luka Doncic for less than market value. So let's do that. And then we'll figure out our team. They basically don't have a starting center. They have one center on their roster. It's not a 2-way guy. And that's Jackson Hayes, who's like a career backup. They have 2 ball dominant guys in LeBron and Doncic. Now they're 2 of the smarter basketball players that's ever been around. So I'm sure they could figure out a way to play with each other, but their skills are not exactly complementary, nor is Austin Reeves a complement to Luka because he also kind of needs the ball and he's also kind of a minus defender, as is Luka and as is even LeBron most of the time now. So the team right now doesn't work, but they now have Luka Doncic and they now have tradable assets. They still have a first round pick to trade. Austin Reeves is a great trade chip if you want to cash that in to get somebody who complements Luka better because he's a very good player on a great contract signed for the next 3 years after this one. So the team today, I would say don't even bother evaluating it. Evaluate the team as of next Thursday night because my guess is they're going to make another move or they're just going to leave. Yeah, my guess is they will. Or at the very worst, they'll just kind of play out what they have this year and then make their moves in the summer. But I do think they're going to make at least one more move before Thursday.
Yeah, I think they have to. From the Dallas side, completely irresponsible.
Yeah.
Like you said, in the sense of running a franchise, I would say. If you look at the lineup, I do think the lineup is pretty good for this year. Definitely not for anything past this year. And I think I would love this lineup if everybody was, 5 years ago. Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Lively, Dinwiddie, and AD. Like that's a good starting 5 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna put some. I'll type. I was typing this up, but I'll say it as well. When everyone thinks the reporter who reports a trade got hacked, it kind of tells you that it was a lopsided trade. There was a good 20 minutes after Shams tweeted this. Well, everyone, including very tied-in people in the NBA, were trying to figure out if this was real or not. Everyone assumed it wasn't real, and that gained a little momentum. And then all of a sudden, it's on ESPN.com, which in our group chat, I threw out at like midnight. Probably woke people up with that last night. I'm like, it's now on ESPN. This may be real. So yeah, usually one of these situations, trust your first reaction if you're judging the trade.
It's crazy, man. So like, I like the lineup. I would love the lineup if, like I said, 5 years ago, but I like the lineup. It's a terrible move for your franchise. But you kind of hinted to it before we got on here. It really didn't cost that much for Luka. Like we're used to seeing the 5-6 draft picks, like the Paul George style deal where it was like 5 first-round picks and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for Paul George. We're not. That wasn't this. It was 1 pick and a couple of player swaps.
Yeah, like that's the wild thing, and we'll come back and talk about this trade, but like we also want to wrap in how this could affect the Cavs, right? It does not affect the Cavs directly, but the Cavs are very involved in the trade market, looking to see if there's an opportunity to upgrade the team with the resources they have. And I think the biggest 2 ways that this affects the Cavs are, 1, I think this almost guarantees there's going to be more activity between now and the trade deadline. So there will be opportunities to hop in to the trade market if you want to. And the other thing, and the main thing it does is, does this like depress the market value of some of these guys that the Cavs are targeting? Because as you said in the past, 5 first-round picks for Paul George, 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert, just this offseason, like 4 or 5 for Mikal Bridges. And then you trade Luka Doncic for 1 first-round pick and 1 all-star player. Say he's worth 1 or 2. So, like, my thought is, I know the Nets, I heard the rumors that they were trying to get 2 first-round picks for Cam Johnson. I don't think I think you can look in the Nets in the face now, the Nets GM, and be like, look, they got 1 for Luka Doncic and 1 very good player. You're getting 1 at most.
Yeah.
And some of these things. And I guess a third thing is teams are starting to figure out how to make trades work within kind of the much harsher restrictions of this new salary cap apron system. Obviously, the Jazz had to get looped in, and that's another way the Cavs could get in trade in the market, could get into the market, is they could just kind of look for an opportunity as somebody needs a third team. The Cavs have, maybe some end of the rotation guys that would work. They have a bunch of 2nd-round picks if those need to be moved to make the money in a deal work. So I think this trade obviously affects LA and Dallas, but I think it could affect the entire NBA as far as the next 4 days go until the trade deadline.
I agree. I think that's probably the best thing that could have happened for this trade deadline, is because now everybody's going to, like, that's the measuring stick is this Luka trade. And like you said, I think that's probably the best avenue for the Cavs. It's not being the direct person in the trade, but being the third team looped in, just like Utah was. Because then you can, even if you're not getting a ton in back as far as roster construction. Like if you get something back and then you can flip a few seconds for a first, like start rebuilding your asset bank. Like think about how your team's long-term success starts kind of building itself.
For sure. And I also wonder something that could affect the trade market and the Cavs is like, does Dallas decide to tank the rest of the season? Like now without Luka and Kyrie's been in that lineup, Anthony Davis actually is hurt right now. He's supposed to come back any day. And I also kind of speculate, was he ever hurt or did he know this trade might be coming? So he sat out the last game or two. But regardless of that, they're 9th in the Western Conference standings. They're one game out of being out of even the play-in. So my thought is like, do they maybe pivot their strategy this year and try and try and more reset for next year? And I wonder that because they have a lot of guys a lot of role players that teams would like to have, like Quentin Grimes, Najee Marshall, even like Jaden Hardy. I don't know if they'd put PJ Tucker or PJ Washington on the market, but like guys like that are, or even one of, I should say one of Lively or Daniel Gafford, probably Gafford. I don't know if they keep all three of those centers now. So, that's another way. There might be another new team you weren't expecting that's ready to kind of sell off here at the trade deadline.
We'll see, because the GM Nico of the Mavs, and kind of something that I want to harp on a little bit here. He came out afterwards and kind of trying to justify his moves and stuff, and how he sees this team rolling. And he mentioned, I want to build a team like Cleveland. Obviously I'm paraphrasing, but I want to build a team like Cleveland using AD and Lively as kind of a Mobley Allen combo. And how the tables have turned. All we've heard for the past 4 years since drafting Evan Mobley, you can't have two bigs. You can't do it. It's not going to work. It's a terrible fit. And then we got Donovan Mitchell. It's not going to work. It's a terrible fit. They can't play together. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's turning. They're, they see what the Cavs are doing. And now other GMs are modeling their teams off the Cavs. We are the model of success. And like, God, does that feel good? Like, it feels so good that everybody wants to mimic what we are doing after we kind of ate crow for the past 4 years, or we're told it wasn't going to work for the past 4 years.
Yeah, but like the NBA is like fashion. Like if you just hold on to where you are for a while, it'll come back around, right?
My Jinko jeans are going to be coming back.
If you go through the NBA's history, it's all like just one big cycle. Like there's a time, I don't know, say the 90s, like you need a great 2-guard to win, to like match up with MJ and stuff. And then the big man came back with Shaq and Hakeem and Patrick Ewing and all those kind of guys. And then it turns back into a guard league. And then for a while it turns into a wing league. And I think it's a lot of times, the market's a lot of times set by the 2 or 3 best players in the league or the 2 or 3 best teams. People want to copycat that player or copycat that team, right? Now the Cavs are one of the best teams in the league, basically by zigging when everyone was zagging. You're right, with their roster construction, particularly the 2 bigs and the 2 small guards. And now it's kind of coming back to where you'll see Dallas is going to be the only team that tries to go to a 2 big man model over the next couple of years. And then before you know it, in 5, 6, 7 years, they're going to be saying the exact same things they were saying about Cleveland in the last 3 years. But again, about whatever team's playing 2 bigs, can't do it. It's wings league, blah, blah, blah. So it really is just like, hold on to your Jankos and your flannel shirts and all that kind of stuff. It'll come back around.
It just feels so vindicating to be the model team. Like you said, it is a secular thing. When Toronto won in 2019, I I thought that was the end of like a big three roster construction, because that was really just Kyle Lowry and Kawhi Leonard. So, I thought that team ended a big three construction, and for the most part, it has. Nobody's really built a big three other than Brooklyn tried and failed.
Well, they haven't done it successfely. Several teams have tried. Phoenix tried. They brought in,
that's true.
They brought in Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal to pair with Booker. It's just like that's the thing. That's the problem with copycatting is unless you're doing it with the exact same, personnel and system, it's not always going to be a very genuine copycat, right? But yeah, other teams have done it. Like the Clippers to a degree did it by bringing in Paul George and Kawhi. Like, I know I'm missing one or two here.
Lakers with trying to bring Westbrook in.
Yeah, that's a great one to pair with LeBron AD. Very good call. And that's a problem. Just because something works really well one time on one team does not mean it's going to work well for your team. Like I honestly think you're better off if you can't be a very genuine copycat of a successful system, finding your own system and trying to be successful in that. And that's what the Cavs have done this year.
Absolutely. And it feels so good to be the first team to 40 wins. 40 wins. We're 8 away from hitting the over on the preseason odds that were out there.
Looking good.
So before did you take it?
Oh yeah. I have very nice bets on the Cavs over and the Cavs to win their division.
Nice. Well, I think you're definitely winning both of those. Wire to wire, baby.
Yeah, I like my odds.
Well, before we make this episode go an hour and a half long, we should talk about the game coming up on Tuesday.
Yep.
With Boston. Let me pull it up. So going into Boston, who are currently losing to the 76ers, 72-49. Like that. What is your thoughts? Kind of Boston's going through this funk, and it looks like the Cavs kind of broke out of their funk.
Yep.
What are your thoughts going into Tuesday?
My thoughts are Boston remains a tough matchup for most teams, not just the Cavs. But the Cavs can be a tough matchup for them too, right? And I think the Cavs just need to stay true to who they are. My guess is Tatum and probably Brown. Tatum may have another big game. He had 2 big games against them already this year. Cavs do not have a prototype to guard him, especially with Dean Wade and Isaac Okoro out. So if he goes off, he goes off. Just keep doing what you're doing. Take advantage of your matchups. Drew Holiday seems like he's gotten old quickly this season, and you may be able to kind of take advantage of that matchup with Garland or Mitchell, or even Ty Jerome when he's in the game. You stay the course with playing your 2 bigs. That's the biggest thing. Stay the course, because Kenny a couple of times, and he did it the first game against Boston. I think he benched Jared Allen and tried to match up with Boston's roster. The Cavs don't match up with Boston's roster, but Boston can't match up exactly with theirs. Stick to play your big 4, 30 plus minutes, do your normal rotation, make slight adjustments if you need to, but otherwise kind of stay true to who you are.
Yeah, I agree. I think just playing Cavs basketball, which, as you alluded to, it felt like we fell off of playing Cavs basketball this month, and we're kind of getting back onto track now. I think, and I know I'm the biggest Cavs homer. I'm the biggest homer there is, but I think that alone is enough to beat Boston, because the way the Cavalier way is real and is really good this year.
Yeah. And, a couple specific things I would like to see. I would like the Cavs do maybe a little bit more pick and roll than they normally do, and tests, Porzingis, lateral ability. He's healthy, but he still looks a little bit off from being having a lower body injury for a good part of the year. Al Horford is pushing 40 and he's not LeBron, so he's starting to show it. And as we talked about, Drew Holiday. So I would like them to go out and kind of use their youth, and believe it or not, in some one-on-one matchups, they actually have, the kind of athletic ability, better athletic ability than the counterpart on Boston. Certainly not with Tatum. Tatum's one of the most athletic guys in the league. But like the other thing I'd like to see, I really want him to just let Evan Mobley go guard Tatum for stretch of the game. I want to see like Evan, you're one of the best defenders in the league. I know sometimes they prefer to have him on a lesser score and be a little bit more of a roamer and protect the basket, but like let him go at him. At least for 15, 20 minutes of the game where they're both in, let him lock him up one-on-one and see if he can make it kind of tough for Jason.
I know Tim's been on the Evan Mobley for Defensive Player of the Year drum. Say they give Jason Tatum as the assignment, and he's just locked down. I mean, terrible night, locks him down. Does that really like seal the bid? Because I don't really know who else would be in that defensive player realm.
Wemby.
Well, yeah, Wemby, that's true. But I feel like that's going just based off block numbers, and which Wemby, don't get me wrong, is kidding them.
Yeah, I mean it's blocks. It's blocks, and it's that San Antonio has the like best or holds their opponent to the lowest shooting percentage within inside of 10 feet as anybody in the NBA. So it's not him just blocking shots. It's him deterring people from even coming in there, changing shots, even if he doesn't get a piece of them, stuff like that. He is an incredible defender. Evan Mobley is an incredible defender. I think you can't go wrong there, but to your point, the one thing Evan has an advantage on over Victor Wembanyama is he does have better lateral quickness, and he does have more of a chance to be successful locking up wing defenders than Wemby does. Wemby's more of a paint protector and everything. So yeah, I think it certainly doesn't hurt if he's going up against some of the better scorers in the league. Jason Tatum's one of the better scorers in the league. He's been one of the best players for a while, and he's having his best season of his career. He's phenomenal this year.
Yeah, he's looking really good.
Yeah. And so if he goes in and keeps Tatum to, low 20s on inefficient shooting, then yeah, I think that certainly doesn't hurt his cause.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see a lockdown defense. I'd love to be, if they lose tonight, the Cavs would have a 6.5 game lead. Yeah. How great would it be to have a 7.5 game lead?
Yeah.
Before the All-Star break. Because
we're at like the 50 game mark now, basically, right? And if they get the lead to a certain number with a certain number of games left, Boston's just going to take their foot off the gas. They're going to say, we're better off just accepting the number 2 seed and kind of getting ready for the playoffs, not like, burning our guys out after they played so much basketball the last few years with deep playoff runs and obviously winning the championship last year. So it would be a step in that direction if they have a 7 to 10 game lead with less than 20 games left or something. There will be a point where Boston just kind of concedes that race for the number 1 seed.
Do you think I know we're at 50 games, like say they're 10 games up, 60 games into the season. Is that enough for Boston to wave the flag?
100%. Like once it gets to the point where, because they'll keep going for it as long as it's like, I don't want to say it's mathematically possible, but it's like realistically possible. Like if they could still get the number 1 seed, if they rip off a 9-10 game winning streak and the Cavs and the Cavs go 500, and so they gain 4 or 5 games on them in like a 2 or 3 weeks time, as long as that's possible, they'll keep going for it. But once it's to a big enough lead and all the Cavs would have to do is go 500 the last X amount of games this season, that there will be a point where Boston just says, washes their hands of it, and we'll get ready for the playoffs as the number 2 seed.
Because that's realistic. Like win on Tuesday, you have a 7.5 game lead on them.
Yeah.
Looking at their schedule, they have us, New York. New York loves to play Boston hard. San Antonio twice, Philly, who they're currently losing to, us again. Like they realistically we could be at 60 games in the season and they start waving their flag. We could probably be over 10 games on them.
And we talked about it after the third loss in a row to Houston a couple weeks ago. We talked about not to regurgitate, but they have 9 games left between the All-Star break. And at that time, they had about a 4.5 game lead over Boston. Like, what can you do over these 9 games to at least maintain that lead, open that lead up? Because if they continued kind of a inconsistent stretch and went kind of limped into the All-Star break, and the Celtics were only 3 games or less back from the number 1 seed, I think at that point they're smelling blood and they're coming out of the All-Star break full throttle to try and overtake Cleveland. As of now, it's going the other way, and the Cavs are going to have either a 5.5 or 6.5 game lead on Tuesday nights going into that game. And if they do the opposite and stretch this lead to 8-9 game lead at the All-Star break, it might be after the All-Star break, shortly after the All-Star break, that they kind of concede.
Done. Yeah. I mean, they still have to play because New York's coming for them. Sure. They still need to stay within that. Those 2 seeds. Yeah. So it's not like they're going to fold and play for nothing. They're definitely going to play to keep in that. But I think at that point the Cavs could probably, 500 ball. Yeah. Stay ahead of the Celtics. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, and we talked about this before also, but like the number 1 seed is more important to the Cavs than it is to the Celtics, because 2 of the Cavs' worst matchups, maybe their 2 worst in the Eastern Conference, are Boston and New York. If they get the number 1 seed, they're only going to have to play one of those teams, not both.
Yep.
They're a very, very, very good team either way, but they're a better team at home. They have a very good home court advantage. And also, if they get the number 1 seed and Boston does kind of concede at some point, if they can rest their own guys and kind of make sure they're going into the playoffs, if anybody has bumps and bruises, sit them out some of those last few weeks of the season. And if the Cavs can have the number 1 seed and go into the playoffs at full strength with a healthy roster, you love your chances. And the more work you do now in February, the better chance you have for that to happen in April.
Hell yeah. So let's go out there and let's win on Tuesday.
I like it. Let's do it.
Cool. So with that, everybody, we're going to sign off of here. Please subscribe, do everything you can. We really appreciate it. We reach out and love to talk to everybody, whether it's comments on videos or on X, on Instagram, on Reddit. We're everywhere.
On Blue Sky. We're really leaning into Blue Sky.
Yeah, Blue Sky too. So please, interact with us. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe on any audio platform. We're on all of them. We want to thank Blue Wire again for letting us do all of this. So for Kevin Litch, Tim Daniels, I'm Skylar Wepker, and we're going to get out of here.
Go Cavs.